This is another episode of me documenting the day-to-day process that I am taking to achieve long-term consistency in the financial markets. And today is Thursday, July 31st, 2025, the end of the month. And for the second time in a row, I've closed a month in profit. But I'm only up 3.3R. So it's obviously not where I want my numbers to be. And I obviously could have done or performed a lot better this month. There's a lot that I still lack. There's a lot that I still need to work on. As you can see from the calendar, it doesn't even look like a profitable month, but the only reason I am profitable this month is because of this number right here, my average win to loss ratio. That's only why I'm still up, even with the 25% win rate, because my average win is 4 times my average loss. So, obviously, when I do have a setup and I execute on it and I take it and it hits, that shit delivers. But I lack the consistency in being able to do that. Like today, there was a setup that would have yielded over 6R had I just executed on it properly. I did execute on it properly. I timed it properly, but my stop management was not ideal because of the entire situation that I was put in, which I'll get into explaining right now. So let's break it down. Before we break it down, actually, I have to give a little monologue about what happened earlier this week. So Monday and Tuesday are days that I missed moves. I missed the move on Monday, and I missed the move on Tuesday. Well, I missed the move on Monday because of a trading view glitch. And on Tuesday, it was a beautiful setup, and I miss it in its entirety because I approached those days with a split approach, meaning I had a buy plan and a sell plan at the same time, which led to indecision in my decision making. Intraday, couldn't confidently execute on those days. That is why I missed the sell on Tuesday. But today I fixed the problem, right? So let's take a quick look at Monday and Tuesday. You can see that, okay, when I'm trying to figure out my bias, what is my bias? It's difficult to determine, right? I'm not 100% confident in bias. I want to use a split approach around what I think is the draw on liquidity. Okay, so you can see right here, I'm not really confident in the bias, right? Let's go to Tuesday. We're probably going to see the same thing. I like the idea of today being an up-close candle. At the same time, I could see the possibility for price to stay and fall to build a low of the weekly range. So both of these days, I'm indecisive on what I want to see the market do. Now, before last week, I thought my issue was draw on liquidity because I didn't have conviction in the draw on liquidity. That led to my indecision intraday. So indecision is basically the primary reason why I'm not able to consistently execute on these moves. It's because I'm just not trusting of them. Last week, I thought it was because I couldn't confidently submit to the draw on liquidity. So I made that adjustment this week. But even with that adjustment this week, that still didn't solve the problem. Because on both of these days, I had conviction in the draw on liquidity, and it delivered both days, but I still felt indecision and still missed the move. But if I look at both these days, I can see that I was indecisive on the higher time frame narrative. I couldn't frame the higher time frame narrative. And that is what led to my split approach, looking for a buy and a sell at the same time. And that is what led to my inability to execute on the move confidently intraday on both of these days. So I made the adjustment today. I solved the problem, made the adjustment today. I have a new system for my higher time frame analysis, my market approach that was beautiful, and it delivered perfectly today, exactly what I was looking for. So I'm carrying down the higher time frame narrative from the weekly, daily, all the way down to the 15-minute. I'm analyzing the market criteria, how it's setting up the overnight session and the pre-market session, and how that supports the higher time frame narrative, and how the draw on liquidity also ties into the higher time frame narrative and supports that as well. So I was confidently 100% looking for lower prices. Look at my higher time frame narrative. Everything here is just going to be focused on one idea. That's it. Now, that's not the case on Tuesday and Monday. Higher time frame narrative. Since tomorrow's NFP, I'm not expecting another large up-close candle, so I want to fade price as it trades higher. Based on the development of the weekly range and how price has left in the overnight session, I think Thursday could paint down to retrace a bit of Wednesday's range, then Friday continue higher. How's it going to trade there? I'd like to see the market trade up, preferably take London high, then break lower for the draw. So this didn't happen, but you can see that I'm clearly establishing the higher time frame narrative as bearish. I'm looking for lower prices. That's it. That's it. Not the case Tuesday. I have two ideas. I have this idea, but at the same time, I also have this idea. Monday, difficult to determine, not 100% confident. Today, one idea, that's it. That's it. And it was beautiful. Beautiful. But how it delivered was not ideal, and now I'll explain the situation that led to me mistiming the move. Well, not mistiming the move. I timed it perfectly. My stop management was not ideal. Okay? So obviously I was looking for lower prices. Maybe I should open up a few of these because it was pretty fucking perfect. Okay? Development of the weekly range, anticipating today to paint down and rebalance a bit of Wednesday's range because of the open new week opening gap and low resistance sell side overnight and NFP Thursday. So I'm framing a higher time frame narrative based on the development of the weekly range and economic calendar. Paint down today to set up paint higher tomorrow is what I'm thinking. Clearly bearish. Draw on liquidity open new day opening gap. So there's a draw on liquidity below the market price that supports the idea of the market going lower. And I have a piece of my trade model that I have to see how the candles close that makes me get into a sell idea right here. This candle is laying a large premium wick. So I wanted to anticipate a drive above that candle's high to fail. It didn't do that, obviously. And then market criteria is also supporting the idea of lower prices. So draw on liquidity and market criteria both support the higher time frame narrative of looking for lower prices based on development of the weekly range and the economic calendar. Because we have low resistance sell side setting up in the overnight session, and we have an open new day opening gap. Two reasons for the market to want to go lower, and there's the higher time frame narrative where I should expect lower prices. So everything blends together perfectly and tells me this day is going to go lower, and it went lower. Perfect. Now, why wasn't I able to execute on that? Because it just left. It just left. Now, what I wanted to see it do was trade up, take that high, and then do this. It didn't do that. It just left, and that pissed me off so much. I thought this was going to be another day of me doing nothing because the market already delivered my draw in the first 2-minute candles. Like, look at this. 1, 2, boom, delivered my draw, right? I was looking for the new week opening gap, or not new week, new day opening gap, obviously, in the pre-market plan. Delivered it in the first 2 1-minute candles. And if we go to the recording, we have to pull up the recording, of course, as always. So I wanted to see these highs cleared out before it went lower, right? Didn't do that, it just fucking left. It just went goodbye. So I just saw it just fucking leave, and I got so pissed that I just sat here, and you can see that I didn't even adjust the chart. Like I just let it sit there, and I was like, this session's over. Fuck. Damn it. I'm gonna do nothing again. So I allowed myself to just sit there and dwell in frustration instead of reading what the market was telling me and thinking about how I can get on side with the move. So when the market just dumps without me, here's what I'm thinking intraday. A low frequency state of mind, extremely pissed off, didn't set up anything for me to sell and just did what I want, looking for at 9:30, lots of angry thoughts. Could this be setting up a long? Maybe, but how could I possibly trust that if I came into the day bearish, then because I missed it, now I'm looking to fade it. That's how bad trading days in the past always set up. Now I don't know what to do. My session is over 2 minutes since the open because I did it right at 9:30. So right here, I'm just declaring right away my session's done because the move happened that I was looking for in the first 2 minutes of market open. Why not think about where the market can trade to beyond what I had in my plan and find a way to get on side with the fucking move and just instead of sitting there being frustrated. So how I'm reacting to this and how frustrated I am, I know I'm not in the right mental state to do anything. I know if I sell short here at the low day out of frustration, it's not going to end well. That's what leads to a really shitty trading day, or that's what led to a really shit trading day last Wednesday. Find a way to get on side without the emotions. I seriously cannot bring myself to sell at the low day. So the good thing is, and I did do some good today. I did a lot of good today. For example, my approach, it was spot on. And it was spot on because I made the adjustment from where I went wrong the past 2 sessions. So in the recording, I just closed it out. I had to pull it up again. Oh, too far. But anyways, as the market's trading lower, like I'm framing the risk around this order block right here, or what I thought was an order block in the moment. Around that right there, I don't take it because I just can't sell the market at a low day because last Wednesday, that's what led to a shitty trading session. I missed the move, right? and I chased it at the low day out of frustration. So this was literally putting me in the exact same situation. This time I said hell no, because I did that last Wednesday, and I'm not doing it again. It's stupid. So prevented a losing trade there, knowing the mental state that I was in, knowing I was a low frequency state of mind, extremely frustrated. Prevents a loss there. That's good. That's good behavior. I know I have the discipline to keep myself out of emotional situations, like selling short the low day out of frustration. That's good. Perfect. Now, the trade that I actually took. So, because the market delivered what I was looking for so fast, I basically checked out of the session. And at that point in time, I was thinking, okay, well, my month is over. I'm not going to do anything. Because it delivered that so fast, 2 minutes into the open, I checked out of the session way too early. And I was just looking at like my TradeZella calendar, like looking at my monthly stats, looking at how much I was finishing. And before this trade, I was going to finish up 4R, right? Obviously, after the loss, now I'm only up 3R. So I was thinking, okay, like I'm up this much. It's good. This is the end of the month, whatever, right? But I still have the charts on. I'm still on the charts. I haven't actually walked away. I just checked out and I'm not focused on reading price. And then all of a sudden, what do I see on the 5-minute time frame? This is my turtle soup entry mechanism. This candle trades into the 5-minute CIBI, but it closed below it, right? So that's a sign of weakness. It also closed below the consequent encroachment, the new day opening gap. We see that right here. I'm just going to get rid of this because it's creating some noise, okay? So here's that new day opening gap. See how the candle closed really, really low on the 5-minute CIBI, but it also closed below the midpoint of the new day opening gap. That's a sign of weakness. And that tells me that I can anticipate a drive above that candle's high to fail. And look what the following candle did too. It traded right to the high at the new day opening gap. Let's see if it was to the tick. The high was 23,705 on that candle. And the new day opening gap high is 23,705. So to the tick, it tapped the new day opening gap high and then broke lower with large down candles on the 1 minute. So I'm already anticipating a drive above this candle's high to fail because of how it closed at the middle of this gap right here. I'm just waiting for confirmation on the 1 minute. And I get the confirmation on the 1 minute. When these large down candles come in, boom, boom, overlap these down candles, this becomes a bearish order block and I sell that. So go back to the recording. Did I close it out again? Oh my God. Back to the recording, and here I am. Let's see if I was framing the risk on the idea beforehand. So I see anticipating a drive above this high to fail, right? Because that is the high on the 5-minute candle right there. So I'm looking for a drive above this to fail. Now I just need to see confirmation on the 5-minute. I already know it's going to because of how it closed here. Framing the risk. Stop loss at order block high. Now that's where I initially framed the risk, right? Stop loss at the high of the order block. But where did my stop actually go? Not there. And that is why I got stopped out prematurely. So had I kept this original stop loss right there, the shit would have played out. And it would have delivered 70 handles. It would have been the best way to close the month. But because I checked out of the session early, basically thought I was done for the month and wanted to protect the profits that I have without giving them back before the end of the month. My stop was framed out of fear, out of trying to keep the risk on the trade as minimal as possible in a condition that's high resistance. Therefore, the market's going to have deeper retracements. Therefore, I got knocked out because my stop does not tolerate a deeper retracement, because it was framed out of fear of getting stopped out and losing money before the end of the month. So now my stop loss is going to go to this candle's high. Why? I couldn't really even tell you, if I'm being real. Where's the logic behind that stop? I don't really know. I just want to make it as minimal as possible, right? But look how I framed the risk on the trade. Order block high. It didn't go up there. So, because these conditions are high resistance, my stop loss has to be extremely forgiving. My entry has to be very late. because the market's going to color outside the lines. It's going to have deeper retracements, right? So my stop loss has to tolerate deeper retracements because the conditions are high resistance. It should go at the high. It doesn't go at the high because I'm trying to minimize the risk on this position, right? And then eventually this becomes a fair value gap. So I'm like, okay, now it really makes sense for my stop to be there. So now my stop is literally 13 handles in a high resistance condition market that's extremely volatile. And so that's just the nail in the coffin right there. And I get stopped out. Like, you can see how nervous I was in this trade because I closed it before the stop even got taken. Because I knew that these candles were just not giving me what I needed to see. And I knew that I was going to come take the stop. It's like, it's not what I wanted to see. I would have preferred that the market broke lower from here and just left the gap lower. Didn't do that. Laid this large up candle over it. Now I'm thinking it's going to go take that high, obviously. So I take the stop off, take the trade off before it ever tags that high. I know it's dead. So there you go. There you have it. And I'm like, okay, well, fuck. That's the end of the month now. Doesn't feel good, right? And then, sitting here thinking that I did something wrong. You didn't do nothing wrong. You framed your stop wrong, that's for sure. And then what happens? It breaks lower, and then I'm like, fuck. So trying to see what I could have done better there, and then that's the session, right? So, not the ideal into the month, but I'm right fucking there. Right fucking there. Let's take a look at the chart. Take a look at the executions, and you can see it just barely tagged me out. So the last thing that you want to do in high resistance conditions is make the risk on the trade minimal or be quick to move the stop down. That's the last thing you want to do in high resistance conditions. That's the nail in the coffin as taught in the 2024 ICT mentorship. And here you go. Here's a perfect example of that in real time today because the market was high resistance and my stop was framed on a gap. In high resistance conditions, I know that my stops and entries cannot be framed off of gaps. I should opt to use the order block. The order block is higher up the PD array matrix, meaning prices has to trade further up to get to the order block because the gaps are lower down in the matrix, right? See, this gap is lower than the order block. Has to trade higher up there to touch the order block. That is where I want my stop and entry to be framed off of in high resistance conditions. So just one big, I don't know what you would call it, but another just emotionally influenced situation because the market just left right at 9:30. And then instead of looking for a way to get on side and just being patient, waiting for retracement, I feel frustration and I think, wow, this session's over and I did nothing automatically. I let myself get frustrated though, because I thought it was just going to be another session of doing nothing and I would close the week out, just one trade on the week, and that's how I ended my month. So that influences the rest of my trading, the rest of the session. So we're down 250 on that trade. And we finished the month barely green. We finished last month also somewhat green. So we'll see how we do next month. See how we finished last month. We also finished last month up 3.64 R, right? So I'm just barely cruising by. If I do good last month or next month, then that would be my third consistent month of profitability, though it's not much at all. It's still up, right? And if I do good next month, then I will attempt an eval the following month in September. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to keep persistently working on this every single day because it is my mission, it is my goal, it is my dream, and there's no way that I will ever stop on this shit. I will never fucking give up. That's not an option. Not even a fucking option. Failure is not even a fucking option. Failure hates me because I am so persistent with my action each and every single day. So I'm working on that. And then outside of that, here's my training Notion page. Let's go to playbooks, right? So basically I developed the higher time frame process and I'm carrying down the narrative from higher time frame weekly all the way down to the 50-minute by doing this process right here. Right, here we go. All right, this video is getting long, so that's it for this one. Sorry for the lack of enthusiasm in this one. I don't know. We get in there. I've been grinding my fucking ass off all week. I'm kind of burnt right now, I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting up at 4:25, going to bed at like 9:30, working on trading from 5 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon straight, just sitting at my desk working, and then taking an hour break from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and then getting back on it, self-developing. I'm studying this course from the guy who is doing 100K a month, and I'm trying to emulate his mindset so I can also think like somebody who makes 100K a month and therefore make 100K a month. Outside of that, I'm doing a lot of journaling, taking care of my health, eating whole foods only, drinking good spring water, good quality water. I'm about to start reading this book, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, because it was recommended by the dude who's doing 100K a month and he's the same age as me. And we're self-developing, baby. I'm going to keep working. Persistency, consistency, without fail. Every single day. I think that's going to be it for this one. And that's the end of the month. I'm not going to trade tomorrow because I'm going on a family vacation. Could also be why I'm feeling a lack of enthusiasm right now. I'm not happy about that. Like, I'm not trying to break my momentum at all. I'm just trying to keep going. But I have to do that anyways, but that's fine. I'll be back on Monday with another trade review.